Ajay, it's such an exciting time for storytellers. It's such an exciting time for artists, for viewers. What right now do you think should be the role of critics? How do we help to push cinema forward?
I think it should be a great balance between the taste of the audience, and obviously everybody here understands the craft so well. So I think there should be a great balance where, either the craft is appreciated or not appreciated, depending on the film, if it is good or no. But also understanding that we're trying to evolve, or we're trying to go with the taste of the audience. We might fail, but the attempt is also that. So many times, for commercial cinema, I think that has changed. People used to think that, that's not art. But that's not true. I've always tried to strike a good balance between both kinds of cinemas, what was said to be both sides of both kinds of cinemas. I think that that line has diminished. In the 90s, when I started also, I did completely commercial films. I worked at that time the so-called art films from Ritu Pornada and Govind Nilani's and films like Zakham and things like this, which nobody else did at that point of time. Actor who was doing commercial films refused to do such films. But I only did it because I knew that I would learn something out of it. And when you love cinema, you love both sides of cinema. You have to make the audiences happy also, and you have to do things for your own satisfaction also. So I think that balance should be created, and that balance also, I think, as critics, they should also create that balance, which they do, I guess.
What's your relationship with critics, Ajay? Do you like us?
This is a wrong notion that I don't like critics. I've been asked this earlier also. That's not true. In fact, I respect them. Though, honestly speaking, the problem is there are genuine critics, and now everybody on social media is a critic. So the problem happens is when you talk about critics, it becomes in general, but that's not what we talk about. Also, the bottom line is you like to be appreciated. That's just the human tendency. So somewhere you get biased also when somebody doesn't like, your work. Not that they are wrong, but sometimes you get upset and you can't change that.
Have you ever been angry?
That's just very human.
Ajay, has a review ever made you angry?
No, I've never been angry. Maybe sometimes it happens that the initial reaction is not great, but then you analyze it that maybe they're right somewhere. And it also depends on who's saying it. As I said, that everybody on social media has become a critic. Being a critic means that there is certain kind of education that they need to understand craft. I'm not talking about the people sitting here, obviously. But
Present
I'm sure,
company excluded?
No. It's not that. But I'm sure you'll agree with me that, you open the social media and you see everybody's commenting on a film, and you don't even know, most of them, who they are. So that is there. So the answer was, no, I have no problems against critics. And I appreciate them, in fact.
How do you think critics can nurture new talent, the new voices?
I don't know, but I guess by guiding them. For example, if somebody new has made a film and he must have had his own flaws and made mistakes, but I'm sure, you can judge that there is some spark in the person. So just not about criticizing him, but also telling him, guiding him to which path to go, and what are the good points he can nurture and which are the things he should avoid.
So encourage.
Encourage them, but encourage good talent, I would say.
Ajay, you've been success story for 32 years. Now that kind of longevity it's very rare. What do you think you really did right?
The first thing I did right was I just did mind my own business. But there's, honestly speaking, so much to do if you really have to do. And if you really want to do, you really don't have time discussing other people. And, I would say in a way gossiping or being somewhere where you don't need to be really, where your work does not require you to be. And the second thing I attributed to my father, only because since I was a kid, I've seen him work, and the kind of dedication and honesty, and he always told me, if you're honest to your work, you'll never fail. Ups and downs will come, just be honest to your work and just believe in yourself. And that's what I always did, and that's what I learned from him. I learned a lot of craft from him, because since a kid I was with him, and he was one of the best technicians ever in the country, not because he's my father, but you can ask anybody in the industry. He created new things in the industry which people used to get amazed at that point of time. He was an innovator, and he was technically very, 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 very strong. I remember going on a lot of shootings because action was complicated at that point of time. So most of the topmost editors used to also say, this sequence is done by Viru, so tell him to come and edit it, we don't understand. So he had his own edit room, and by the time I was 8 or 9, I used to, when I was free, I used to go with him. And that time there was this Movilla. Now, things have changed. It's all Avid and computers. But that time you had to stand and edit. You had to put the roll, and, you had to slice it. Okay, this is the mark. And I used to be there. And somebody had to, keep rolling it. So I used to do that initially. Then I started marking with him. Then came a point where he said, okay, you mark and keep, and I'll come and check if it's right or wrong, and I'll make alterations. So that whole process was lovely. And when he was doing Mr. India. Now, Mr. India is a film which in today's times would require a lot of special effects. A man who's invisible, Hanuman's statue flying around, and there was no such thing as VFX at that point of time, not even cable erasing. And the way he used to do it, everybody was in awe of him that, how can he do things like this? So all those things I learned from him. And I think today what I am is because of him.
How have you nurtured this love for the movies? Because, 32 years is a long time. Has there ever been a time when you've fallen out of love, when, you've not been as passionate? Because I look at Bola and I look at, your action sequences, what you're doing there. It's 2 months of rehearsal. It's crazy action that you're doing. So how have you nurtured this hunger?
I think, again, it was inborn from since I remember my life.
But it's never faded.
It has. Honestly speaking, there was a point in my life in the 90s where, we used to, at that point of time, today we do one film at a time. At that time, we were doing something about 14 to 15 films at a time. We used to do 4 shifts, and we used to do like 5-6 hour shifts. We used to go at 7 in the morning for work, shoot till something about 12 o'clock on one set, and in the same pair of jeans go to the other set and just change the jacket or the shirt, and we used to shoot for 4-5 hours.
Did you remember which character you were playing?
No, so many times we forgot also. And if you would see most of our films, most of us as actors had the same pair of shoes and jeans in every film because we were too lazy to change them also. Yeah, so that went on. So you were working from 7 in the morning till like 3-4 in the next morning, and so many times it was just from one studio to the other. You just go there and crash for 2 hours and start working again. And I reached a point where, I just wanted to stop, and I was not enjoying my work. And it was very funny. At that time, the guild had a rule. The actors are doing too many films, so the producers need to, suffer. They suffer.
Do 12 films.
Only do 12 films.
I
Imagine
this rule,
that we were only
12.
officially allowed to do not more than 12 films on floor. So it was those times we're talking about. Yeah, so that is the point where I felt that I don't want to work anymore. And I realized this. And I said, I'm not enjoying my work, and that's not how it should be. And then I stopped doing this. And I started doing 2 or 3 films in a year. And then that's how it's been. But that was the only phase. Otherwise, for me, I love going to work. If I have nothing to do for 2 days, I wouldn't know what to do with myself. And it's like if I go for a holiday also with my family and things like this, after 2 days, I want to just come back and just start working. I feel useless. I also believe, which I tell everybody, I said I hope the best gift God gives anybody is to keep working till you die. Because I think you will rust otherwise. And, it's lovely. My daughter was studying in Singapore, and they have this motto there in Singapore: rest is rust. So they encourage 80 to 90-year-old people to still work and to train them into different things. So there's no retirement. So after you stop your work, whatever you're doing, they will ask you, they will make you join. You can go to a departmental store and you'll see 90-year-old people sitting at the counters because they can't walk around. And just the cash counters they sit at. So that's so beautiful. And that's how I think it should be everywhere. It should be here also. Why do you want to stop working? Why would you want to stop working? For me, it's just, I love to work on a Sunday also. So I just love work.
Ajay, at this point, when the boundaries between film industries in the country are falling, what is your hope for Indian cinema? What do you want to see happen in the next few years?
I don't know. I just really, I'm not a planner. I just hope that we keep working. I hope there is more unity in our industry. I also hope that this demarcation of South films, North films, this becomes like the Indian film industry and becomes one, because we are all one. Films from there are being dubbed here, and films from here also have started going there. So it becomes one film industry. And that will be a very strong film industry. And globally, we can get stronger.
And last, Ajay, what can you tell us about Bola? This is the fourth film he's directed.
Bola is just not an action film, I would say. It has a lot of action, for sure. But I don't think any action works without an emotion behind. If you have a very cool action sequence, but there's no reason behind it, it's not going to work. You will only whistle and clap at something where you are with the character, that you want the character to beat up the other guy for whatever the reason. So it's that story, it's that little emotion where the man needs to reach, where he's trying to reach most of his life, and now is the time to go there, and how he's not being able to reach. And the whole process of that one night is Bola, I would say.
Wishing you much luck and thank you so much.
Thank you
Ladies
so
and
much.
gentlemen.
Thank you. Thank you so much.